Hello, you just got your Stratagene report. Now, how to use the thing. So you downloaded it, you printed it out in color, you bound it, it looks all pretty, but man, it's useful, but I'd like to understand some more details. I'm gonna help you out right now. So, get your Stratagene report, that's step one in the right direction. Now let's get to step two and how to use the thing. So, don't forget, genetics, you're in charge, your patient is in charge. So since this report is available to both health professionals and the general public, I'm going to be talking to both audiences because we want to empower both types of individuals here. So epigenetics, this is key. You run genetic reports because you want to look at altered gene expression, right? That's the whole reason why you're looking at your genetics. You want to see what diseases and things that you're susceptible to. So genetic polymorphisms absolutely do contribute to this, but this is pretty much what you need to be looking at. Polymorphisms do affect genetic polymorphisms, but epigenetics really influence genetic control. And this is where you have the power, and this is where you want to focus. And then if you really clean this up and you really do a lot of great work here, then the polymorphisms won't be much of a factor. I want you to say that again. You clean this up, you optimize your genetics by improving your environment, your lifestyle, the diet that you choose, the environment that you're in, really affects your genetic control way more than genetic polymorphism, okay? So let's make sure that works. Now, you as a health professional are holding Stratagene and going over it with your patient. Or you are bringing it in as a patient and going over with your health professional. It's a piece of paper. It is a piece of paper. It's a great piece of paper, but that's what it is. Don't forget that you as an individual are in an environment exposed to various things, being stressed, getting dirty, getting polluted, and then going home and having great activities with your loved ones or what have you. Don't forget to evaluate who the patient really is, and don't forget who you are as an individual rather than a piece of paper that is sitting in front of you. Okay? Those are key points. So this is page 2. The first is just a cover sheet. Page 2, what I really want to point out here is there's a directory. So if you're looking for a health professional to try to direct you on how to use Stratagene and optimize your lifestyle based upon your genetic polymorphisms and just overall, then you go to the directory. You can click that link right there via your computer. Just click it, and it'll take you to a directory of health professionals who have been trained by me or have taken online courses that I have produced along with my team. Now, if you want to get on the directory as a health professional, you need to come to our conferences, or you need to take some of our online courses such as Part 1, Part 2, or ShyCon 15 and 16. And we wholly encourage you to come to our conference because that is where the community is, and it's an awesome experience. It really is. And we've got one coming up here in April. So now, prepared for, this is an alias. So we just typed in Eve homozygous, and obviously when you ran your report or you uploaded it, you chose an alias form, and that's to protect your identity. Then we have the date and the version of Stratagene we do because we're updating this constantly. This is not a static thing. We're always improving it. Now the bibliography. You click on this, and this shows you the research that went into Stratagene, the papers that explain why we've chosen that particular gene and all the things that influence it or affect it, all right? So the bibliography is there. If you wonder why we picked a certain gene, or if you wonder why we say inflammation is associated with reduction in function of something, well, it's all here, okay? Now keep in mind that the bibliography does not print out. We're not going to be wasting paper. There's no point of that. So the second half of this page, you can click this. If this is on your computer, you can click these links right here, and it will take you right to the pathway you're interested in directly. Otherwise, you can just scroll down. Now, the FAQ also does not print out. FAQs and the bibliography and the glossaries do not print out. And that's just to, because why do that? You just want to research it, you just click it there. Now, key points here, this is kind of a key to to let you know what's going on in the diagrams coming up. So purple decreases the activity of the gene, and orangish yellow, speeds it up. So if you see these little symbols on your pathway, and you will, you're just like, I forgot what they mean. Well, just go back to the front part of your report and look it up again, all right? And then there's a cofactor, and those are the vitamins and minerals and other things which the gene needs in order to function. Those are all there on the diagrams coming up. And then the gene is inside the bubble. Now this bubble can be colored green, yellow, or red. Now that doesn't mean green is good, yellow is and red is bad. That's not what it means. All those colors mean is that the gene is varying from what it is in the normal population. So if it's green, that means that's what it is in the normal population. If it's yellow, that means it's partially messed up. Well, as you see, there I said messed up, but that's not correct. It is partially different than the normal population. It's not messed up, it's just different. So then red means it's really different from the normal population. Both types, both sets of your genes are different than the normal population. The wild type, what's regularly found in the environment. It's not bad, it's just different than what other people have. I have brown eyes, you might have blue eyes. Is that bad? Well, if my wife liked blue eyes, yeah, it'd be bad, but she chose me and got brown eyes. But that's not a bad thing, it's just a trait, okay? So again, if you see yellow on your pathways, which you'll soon see, or red, it doesn't mean it's bad, it means it's different, okay? It can be bad, but it can also be good. It all depends on the situation, and we explain that coming up in the pathways. Now remember, this is what shows up on the FAQs. There's a lot of questions that we get, and if we get a lot of questions that are similar, what we do is, one, we try to optimize the report to neutralize that question, or if it's a question that we can't neutralize and we have to address it, we talk about it right here. Okay, and this list will grow as we need it to grow. And again, you get here by going on your report and clicking FAQ, and these are the questions that come up, and all the answers are below. And you can click on these on your report, it will take you to that particular question and answer. So this is what everybody wants in the report, but again, this is not the whole picture. This is just the genetic polymorphisms. And it's useful, absolutely, because it's taken 2.5 years for me and my research team to evaluate which genes are critical and also which genes are found in 23andMe. So this is a list that we've come up with. Yeah, it's short, but it's concise and it's actionable. It's relevant. It's not a bunch of nonsense that is providing a bunch of genes that doesn't have any relevance to you, okay? Or gonna waste your time. So here it is. So again, we talked about yellow. That means it's slightly different than the normal population, what most people have. And then there's red. So you look at the colors here and you can say, okay, well, I've got a double red here. Don't freak out. It's just saying that it's different than the normal population. You've got yellows. That's different than normal population. You have an NA here. That means something was going on in your sample, or 23andMe couldn't pick it up. It wasn't clean, or various reasons. There's probably addressed in the FAQ again. So green means that is found to be what the normal population has. And again, there's a little key down here at the bottom what that means. Now another thing which many people will miss is here, NAT2. NAT2 is a gene that is located on the histamine planner, which is extremely important, and you'll see it on the histamine planner. So, and it talks about if it's the speed of it. So if we say intermediate, slow, or fast, then you'll see on the histamine pathway planner what that will impact, okay? So the bonus SNPs, what's a bonus SNP? A bonus SNP is a gene that I felt and my team felt extremely important to include. And it's not yet on a pathway planner. And we didn't want to exclude, it's like, well, that gene's on a pathway planner, it's not important. Well, that's not a good way to look at it. So we included a table here and further descriptions later to dive into the detail. I mean, hemochromatosis, that's pretty important. Is that on a pathway planner? No, it's not. But you should evaluate see if you have hemochromatosis. PEMT is really important, and all these other genes. And then we also discussed ApoE, all right? ApoE, and it tells you if you have 3,4, 3,3, and so on. So that's an important point to also pick up, so don't miss that. Then you get through the diagram, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a slight description underneath each cycle. So you have the folate cycle here, and underneath that is a description about what that cycle does. That's what you'll see consistent. So that this will talk about the methionine cycle, talk about the biopterin cycle, and it'll have a little paragraph here describing the function of it. And then you'll see the pathway underneath. That's the pretty consistent theme throughout the whole report. Then you get the pathway, and here there's no variations found, but here there is one. There is a homozygous trait found here, homozygous polymorphism, found in the MTHFR1 gene, so we labeled it red. Does that mean it's bad? No, it means it's different, okay? And then we get into the detail of what that means later. MTHFR, which is where I started, and all this now is blossoming up into more information, which is actionable and more relevant than just focusing on one gene, because one gene is stupid to look at. And here's MTHFR, and it's slightly affected, and we get into detail later of how it's slightly affected. Now remember, we talked about things that are orange speed up the gene, it increases their activity, and we talked about earlier things that slow it down, the purple. So I want you to be spending time looking at the things that slow down these genes and things that can speed them up, okay? Just because you don't have anything wrong here doesn't mean that there's not a potential problem, okay? If you're taking things that are in purple and it's slowing the function of the gene, that could be a problem. It also could be a good thing, right? It all depends on the situation you're trying to work on, and that's why you need a trained health professional to work you through this. So MTHFR, this is what you see after you see the pathway. You're going to start getting into the genes. And then underneath the gene, we have a description of what that gene does and what its function is. And then we talk about the genetic polymorphisms that have been identified. So with MTHFR, here are the genetic problems found, but we also talk about the factors that are influencing it. Remember, because it's the epigenetics which are more important than the SNPs. And that is how we want to portray the report too. We have MTHFR description, what it is, but we talk about the nutrients that are needed to make it work. And then we talk about the things that slow it down, which is what the down arrow means. And then we talk about the things which speed it up, which is what the up arrow means, all right? So pay attention to these areas. So the factors that influence your gene is more important than the SNPs that are found, all right? I really want you focusing on this because this is where you can change and this is where you can work on with your health professional to make the differences. So spend a lot of time here. So, and then these little arrows down here, this means that the speed has been reduced by about 20% in those individuals that have this type of gene variant, okay? And you'll see this on all the pathways. Now, you might not see this percent with an arrow pointing down. And why is that? It's because we haven't found a researched paper that discusses the kinetic variation, and that's what this means, kinetic variation. We describe in detail here. This variant reduces the activity of the MTHFR enzyme by about 20%, okay? About, it's rough, okay? But that's what the papers say, and that's in their bibliography. Over here, this variant reduces it by 30%. So if we can find it, we will put how much it slows it down, okay? But the factors which influence the gene also can slow it down or speed it up. So you have to look at what can slow it down, and then if you're having all this plus this, that's a potential problem, right? But if you have this and this, and you're good here and you're speeding it up, well, then these slow down kinetic variation may not be such a big play in it. So then you have haplotypes. I'm not going to get into that. You can read the frequently asked question, what a haplotype is, and we include those when we feel that they're really relevant. And this one we felt it was quite relevant. So then we get into the next pathway, right? So then you see it on the next page. You'll see the methionine cycle. And remember, purple slows it down, orange speeds it up. The things in the bubble are the genes, And green doesn't mean it's great, it just means it's normal in the population. But look at all the things that can slow it down, okay? I almost said negatively affect it, but I should say it slows it down. Doesn't mean it's negatively affecting, maybe you want to slow it down. And then these are the things which speed it up, okay? So there aren't that many genetic polymorphisms that are on the report. BHMT, for example, that's in the FAQ. Why didn't we include BHMT? There's not much research on it. There's a lot of internet hearsay about how important BHMT genetic polymorphism is, but is there any researched, hard fact data that a genetic polymorphism is greatly affecting this genetic function? No, there's not. There's papers, but they're not good enough for us to include in the report. But there are things which speed it up, and there's cofactors, and it, yes, absolutely is an important gene. So it's on the pathway planner, it's needed, but there's not a genetic polymorphism, okay? Not yet. Well, maybe there's some papers that will be published in the future, and we will find it and we will put it on the report. But as it stands now, it's not there. So this is the biopterin cycle. This is a big one. This is your cardiovascular system. This is your neurotransmitters. Okay, this is a really key pathway, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to teach you about that right now. My main goal is just to teach you what to look at and how to look at it. Again, green means it's normal in the population. It doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's normal in the population. Yellow means it's slightly different than this normal population, right? What's most prevalent. So that's what you need to be looking at. Then we have full description on the MAO gene. This is a big one, and I want you to spend time in here. Look at all the stuff that we have on here that is affecting the function of MAO, okay? MAOA. Look at all the things that are slowing it down. Could be a good thing. Maybe you want to slow it down. But if there's too much serotonin in the body, and you see that in your patient, or you know from experience that too much serotonin or too much 5-HTP is making you not function optimally, then you need to look at the ways to find and remove these things so you can burn through the serotonin faster. And then here is ways that you can speed up the MAO gene. And then we talk about the variant which is really, really in the news. 23andMe doesn't have it. They don't have it. It's a problem. So we talk about this, but we also found that there's other SNPs that are also extremely important, and we put those in the pathway planner too, okay? And again, we have the arrow here, which means it's slowed down in function, but we don't know the precise kinetic variation. We didn't put a percent here because we don't know. We don't guess. We give you research hard data that is published in the National Library of Medicine. That's where we get our data. We try to provide good facts, not just assumptions or we think. No, that's not how it works. It's published, it's done, okay? So, and we talk about it here. Now, this is green, right? Green means what? Means it's normal. But this gene, this variant, is associated with a normal, as we talked about, but it's slower compared to the alternative. So is that bad? Is it good? It's just different. So this is why you need to be paying attention to this and forget the colors. I know a lot of reports and I know a lot of other health professionals and other gurus are talking about green is bad and red is, green is good and red is bad. Get that out of your head. It's just green is normal, red is different than the population, okay? And then this is what you need to be looking at along with this, right? I keep hashing that because that is where most people keep getting confused. When you're looking at the papers, you've got text, you've got graphical illustration, and you have summary tables. So we're catering to all different types of learning abilities, whether you want it drawn out, whether you want it written out, or whether you want it in a summary table. It's all there. And there's a lot of stuff here, and the report can vary in length from, 11 pages to 25 pages, and that will vary, and it varies depending on how many genetic polymorphisms are found in you or your patient, okay? So again, take it easy, go slowly, and talk with others. We have a Facebook group that I highly encourage you to go to. It's a Facebook group on Stratagene. You have to be using Stratagene in order to get accepted into the group, because otherwise, what's the point? and that's to be able to help you out. So I thank you, and I hope that has served you really well. Listen to this as many times as you want. And again, if you're looking to be a health professional, to learn more how to implement this with your patients, come to our conferences. You can go to seekinghealth.org and learn more about those conferences. And if you want to, once you get that done, you can be in the directory to help other patients, because man, there's a lot of people looking for skilled health professionals. And if you're one looking for a skilled health professional right now who knows how to use this report and guide you through it, go to seekinghealth.org right now and click the directory. I hope that served you well. Thank you.